morning Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister seeks opposition support to replace the Privy Council with the CCJ. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Friday, July 20. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Ricardo Roberts. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves on Friday suggested that only lack of support from the opposition would stand in the way of St. Vincent and the Grenadines acceding to the Caribbean Court of Justice, the CCJ, as the country's final appeal court. And he threw the challenge directly out to the New Democratic Party, the NDP, during a ceremonial sitting of the CCJ in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which was held to celebrate Vincentian Justice Adrian Saunders' elevation to the office of CCJ President. Replacing the London-based Privy Council with the CCJ was among the changes to the Constitution that citizens rejected in a November 2009 referendum. But Gonsalves pointed out on Friday that a referendum on the issue was not a requirement to make the CCJ move, and all that was needed was a two-thirds majority support in Parliament. But his Unity Labour Party, ULP, only has 8 of the 15 seats in Parliament. The other 7 are held by the main opposition New Democratic Party, the NDP. Now, Gonsalves said with his government not having a two-thirds majority, he would need the opposition's support. And he made a direct appeal to opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday, who was at the special sitting.
If they are of the mind to join the government in passing a constitutional amendment to have the CCJ, I will find time on the parliamentary agenda to do it very, very swiftly. So I want to give that assurance to all those who are gathered here and to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Now, during the sitting in his home country, the CCJ president again expressed his disappointment that several CARICOM countries have not yet signed on to the Trinidad-based court's appellate jurisdiction. Justice Saunders pointed out that it was very costly for people to take their appeals before the Privy Council and questioned why countries continued to retain that court when the CCJ was readily available and delivered sound judgments. And he said it was his fervent hope that in the coming months, fact would prevail over sentiment and sober reality would prevail over partisanship, and the others would follow the lead of Barbados, Belize, Dominica, and Guyana.
What is at stake here is not a political question. It is not a constitutional dilemma. It is a social issue of profound importance. This is a matter that has to do with social equality. One can put any spin one wishes on it. At the end of the day, we must see it for what it is. It is an issue of affording to the ordinary man and woman the same level of access to the highest level of justice as is currently enjoyed by those who are well off.
Local government elections in Guyana will be held on November 12th. Minister of Communities Ronald Balkan made the announcement on Thursday, saying that $1.2 billion Guyana dollars has been allocated to the Guyana Elections Commission to prepare for the polls. A statement from the government's Department of Information said that when those elections are held, it will mark the first time in 50 years of Guyana's post-colonial history that successive local government elections are held when constitutionally due. Local government elections are held in Guyana using a mixed electoral system of proportional representation and first past the post. Despite the launch of a national crime prevention program 2 days ago, an umbrella body for trade unions in Trinidad and Tobago says government is not doing enough to good job tackling the scourge. Now, on Wednesday, National Security Minister Edmund Dillon launched a plan which he said was aimed at limiting future instances of crime and criminality. But the joint trade union movement is not impressed. Ian Wason of CNews reports. Okay, we will come back to that story in just a moment. And still in Trinidad and Tobago, the state is challenging the decision of a magistrate who in 2016 dismissed gang-related charges against some of the accused in the May 2014 murder of Senior Counsel Dana Sitahal. Senior Magistrate Indrani Sidenio's decision had been based on a blunder made by the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions in the laying of the charges, but the state is now seeking to have the appeal court overturn the ruling and have the charges restored. The matter came up for hearing at the Hall of Justice on Thursday, but was unable to proceed as anticipated since the office of the DPP requested a short adjournment because of yet another blunder in filing its notice of appeal. And let's go back to our story about a national crime prevention program that the umbrella body for trade unions said that the government of Trinidad and Tobago is not doing a good job.
Calling the National Crime Prevention Plan as announced by government on Wednesday a sham, the joint trade union movement leader Ansel Roger said the government, while in opposition, gave a commitment to fight crime.
All of the commitment that they would have given when they were on the campaign trail, those things came to zero thus far. And as a result of the absence of those types of initiatives, we are suffering. We are sitting ducks in this country waiting to be the next murder victim.
And just like at Labor Day and their campaigns in Arima and the Chaguanas which followed, he focused on an oversized polling card that summarized the performance of the government. The J-term boss called on the population to act now.
We are saying to the public, do not wait until it affects one of yourselves to join the campaign to force them to do the job that they had committed to do. They have failed thus far, and we are saying that they ought to get up and do their job.
Mr. Roger claimed crime is affecting his members as the offshore workers have witnessed firsthand drugs and weapons arriving at these shores by boat. He even claimed these workers were shot at.
And stay with us, more news after this.
It starts from sunrise, a city filled with an island vibe, music, people, color, friendship, culture, and the warmest of smiles. Come enjoy the unique costumes, pulsating steel pans, exotic culture, exciting fetes, and unforgettable people. Discover Antigua's Carnival, the Caribbean's greatest summer festival, July 27th to August 8th, because the beach really is just the beginning.
The Caribbean's greatest summer line. Yeah, it's country around my time. 44 gives me hair. I know you love it here. Troops and festivities. We love the Caribbean. The clown night, no time for sleep. Emancipate with we. Best food and folklore. Culture around the 44. Best food and folklore. Welcome to our island shore. Best food and folklore. Entertainment to die for. Best food and folklore.
When you buy a ticket on Liat, outside of the taxes paid, you're getting more than just a flight. You're getting well-trained, qualified, competent crew. The newest, fuel-efficient, environmentally friendly aircraft. The best aircraft maintenance process and people to get you there safely. More destinations and connections with partners than any airline in the region. All so that we can connect you to special moments with friends and family, festivals and fun. We connect you to your business associates, which helps you and the region's economies to grow. So there is more to the fare than the flight. Liat, the Caribbean Airlines, more than connecting the region.
In more news out of the Twin Island Republic, the government is dismissing rumors that a new passenger ship purchased to service the sea bridge between Trinidad and Tobago is not seaworthy. Works and Transport Minister Rohan Sinanan said at a media brief on Thursday that the galleon's passage would not be commissioned without the approval of the Director of Maritime Services. More in this report from Karen Cozier-Phillips of C News.
The opposition claimed the galleon's passage was not seaworthy. The Works and Transport Minister reassured the vessel would not be put into operation unless there was full authorization from the Director of Maritime Services.
These reports are reports that are generated at a point in time based on the information put before them. However, certification and classification of the vessel will be finalized by our Maritime Division, and until then, the vessel will not be put in service. So there's no issue of the vessel going into service without being fully authorized by the authority that is certified and authorized to give us that clearance.
Communications Minister Stuart Young condemned the opposition, and particularly Senators Wade Mark and Saddam Hussein, for trying to mislead the public with regard to the safety of the vessel.
What the population is being flooded with right now is fake news in a most unpatriotic manner by Senators Wade Mark and Saddam Hussein, who are deliberately lying and attempting to mislead the population and encourage them not to go on the galleon's passage, which is owned by the taxpayers.
Minister Sinanan said several reports regarding the seaworthiness of the galleon's passage were done at a specific time. He said the vessel had been examined since it docked in Trinidad on Tuesday.
One was the fire alarm system. There is a fire alarm system on the vessel. The other one was the CCTV to see the vehicles coming onto the vessel and passengers. Those are on the vessel.
He also took a jab at the opposition for its continued attack on the purchase of the vessel.
A collapsed sea bridge will damage both Trinidad and Tobago. It affects our economy. Unfortunately, there are certain people who feel that they can ride back into government on a vessel.
Minister Sinanan said in addition to the CCTV cameras installed on the galleon's passage, government has also asked the Port Authority to ensure that security was beefed up around all the vessels to prevent any acts of sabotage.
As the drought situation worsens in parts of Jamaica, a $10 million program is being implemented to fund the trucking of water to affected communities. The project is being funded by the Ministries of Economic Growth and Community Development, as well as local government. Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Darrell Vaz, says the ministry will continue to monitor the situation and implement measures where necessary.
A water trucking schedule has been developed for the July to September period. Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Darrell Vaz, says this is part of an island-wide drought response program.
Consideration is now being given to convening the National Drought Committee to give attention to the strategies that may be needed to be employed should the island be forced into a more widespread situation.
The minister revealed the intervention measures during Tuesday's sitting of Parliament.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Andrew Holness wants young people to be trained to be first responders in natural disasters. He was addressing a local governance conference in Montego Bay earlier this week, and he said training the youth better equips the country to handle the frequency and intensity of natural disasters.
Mr. Holness, who is also chairman of the National Disaster Risk Management Council, has challenged the island's municipal corporations to take up the task. He suggests collaborating with the Housing Opportunity Production and Employment HOPE program and other entities to equip young people to assist in times of natural or man-made disasters. By doing this, the Prime Minister says the country will be better prepared to tackle the frequency and intensity of disasters which are able to destabilize the economies of small states.
No matter how the government puts out its national campaign, the power of the councillor sitting down with his voters and explaining to them the dangers that they face and having locally structured programs to facilitate their movement. There is nothing more powerful than that.
St. Kitts and Nevis is the latest Caribbean country to sign on to the Strengthening Evidence-Based Decision-Making for Citizen Security in the Caribbean, or CARISHORE project. The USAID-funded project seeks to develop and implement effective policies that improve the availability and use of reliable citizen security data to accurately measure the impact of crime and violence and design the appropriate policy and programmatic responses. At Thursday's ceremony in Bastille, 3 documents were signed signaling the official launch of the St. Kitts and Nevis CARISHORE Task Force. That's the CARISECURE Task Force. Now, Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris, who was the keynote speaker at the ceremony, stressed the importance of creating policies and making decisions based on data.
Evidence-based decision-making becomes critical because not only are we to be concerned with youth crime in our communities, but we must also equip criminal justice and policymakers generally with the information, processes and tools to prevent pretrial misconduct, as well as reoffending leading to recidivism in our prison.
Dr. Harris said the country must build upon data collected and appropriately analyzed to engineer systems and programs for crime reduction and prevention that are vision-driven, efficient and effective.
The research shows that local collaboration and research evidence can result in improved community and criminal justice system outcomes. Evidence-based decision-making should help improve public safety, should help create system-based approaches to justice issues, reduce duplication of effort and conflicting practices, and of course enable better allocation of limited justice system resources.
And the summer is heating up, and so are the Caribbean's festivals around the Caribbean. Now, several countries have already staged their carnivals and music festivals, and there are still others to come, including Crop Over in Barbados. But this year's festival will be without veteran Calypsonian Red Plastic Bag. Entertainment reporter Rene Sion takes a look at his legacy in this week's Newsline Entertainment.
It will be a voice missed on a competition stage in Barbados from now on. A voice we grew to love over 3 decades. Whether young or old, his music spoke volumes. He produced lyrics that captured the imagination of listeners. Stetson Wiltshire, better known as Red Plastic Bag, RPB, or merely Bag, has announced his resignation from Crop Over Festival competition. And as we salute the man that helped revolutionize Calypso in Barbados, we take a look back at some of his performances.
What the
did this 10-time Calypso monarch decide to stop competing?
Well, the reason for me not competing is not because I don't love walkover, and it's not because I don't love the music. The reality is that I've been competing for 37 years now, and I just believe that the time has come when I need to move on from the competition. I've done it my entire adult life, and it has taken its toll on me, to be honest. And I just decided that this is the time maybe for me to just move on and focus on creating music and enjoying music. And I'm performing. The reality is that competition has dominated my entire adult life, and I just need to move on.
Bags spoke about how the Top Order Festival has grown and what it means to him.
This festival has grown tremendously. This is why we call it the Swedish Summer Festival. Years ago when we started, we had only few bands. There were not a lot of Calypsonians, and look how things have actually grown. It has become a lot more commercialized. We have been able to market it much more. We have a product that we can sell to the world, and we just need to continue to work on it. The music is considered the engine of the festival, and as you can hear, the producers in Barbados have gone to another level in terms of what they've been producing musically. So I am fairly confident that the way forward is going to be great. I think that we are going to be able to create waves across the world with the music that we are creating.
And ahead in Newsline Sport, Trinidad and Tobago's table tennis players disappointed at missing out on the CSC Games. We'll be right back.
This hurricane tip comes to you compliments the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency and the Caribbean Media Corporation. Be prepared. Keep phone lines free for important calls.
Join leading media and communications executives as well as climate change experts in Kingston, Jamaica from August 13 to 15 for the Caribbean Broadcasting Union 49th Annual General Assembly. This year's assembly, held in partnership with the CARICOM Climate Change Center, explores the theme, Building Resilience to Climate Change, Business, Technology and Content Options for Caribbean Media. Featured presenters include the Honorable Dr. Rural Reid, Jamaica's Minister responsible for information, the region's Chief Climate Change Negotiator, Mr. Carlos Fuller, the Caribbean Telecommunications Union, the Broadcasting Commission of Jamaica, and the International Telecommunications Union Caribbean Office. And broadcast manufacturers and media services enjoy special exhibition rates at this year's conference, joining premier exhibitor Eutelsat. For more information on discounted rates for delegates staying at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel or flying on the official airline Caribbean Airlines, go to the CBU website or call the Secretariat. The CBU looks forward to welcoming you to this key conference on climate change and the Caribbean media.
Welcome back. It's now time for sport. Two top table tennis players in Trinidad and Tobago are speaking out about a controversy that denied them an opportunity to represent the country at the CSC Games underway in Colombia. National players Yuvraj Dukram and Curtis Humphreys are disappointed and are calling on the authorities to make some changes to ensure situations like this never happen again. TV6's Sergio Defoe tells us more.
How would you feel if you were omitted from a tournament in the aftermath of a legal case you had no involvement in? That's the question that was posed to table tennis players Yuvraj Dukram and Curtis Humphreys, who were not allowed to represent TNT at the Central American and the Caribbean Games as a result of the legal matter involving Dexter St. Louis and the Trinidad and Tobago Table Tennis Association.
I was gutted. I was really emotionally distraught. Knowing the fact of all the efforts and the sacrifices and the time that we have put in preparing for this period, for the games.
Obviously disappointed. We have practiced and trained very hard for the last 6 months.
Both athletes say the gap has closed between foreign and local players, and think all players should square off in a trial to determine who plays for the national team.
I still think that you need to prove your worth because
come back home to prove your worth.
Yeah, because even a lot of top athletes in the table tennis fraternity from a lot of other countries, they at least would go home for their national championships, whether they rank in the top 10 in the world, top 20 in the world.
We are practicing, we are training as players. We should be given that opportunity to compete against him for a place, but that hasn't happened.
Meanwhile, top Jamaican swimmer Elia Atkinson is leading a 7-member swim team at the CAC Games. Her events are the 50-meter and 100-meter breaststroke, the 50-meter and 100-meter butterfly, 50-meter and 100-meter freestyle. As we hear in this TVJ Sport report, the 4-time Olympian is confident about her chances.
Olympian Elia Atkinson will be among swimmers in action on Friday as the CAC Games continue. Atkinson, who is the co-captain of the team, says she's very optimistic about her readiness for the Games.
I think this is the first time I've ever been captain of a team. Yeah, it's the first time we'll actually have, not really. It's been a while since we've had a group of swimmers at one competition. So for a while it's been myself, and the same thing for Yona, it's been itself as well. So it's the first time we actually have a whole collective of aquatic swimmers, and water polo should be joining us shortly as well. So to be captain of the swimming, but in addition to that, being captain of the whole CAC delegation as well, co-captain, is truly remarkable.
But she insists she feels no pressure about a podium finish.
Expecting to do a good time, expecting to come first, expecting to do that. I have a goal in which I can control, which is good starts, good finishes, work on my pace, be able to come back in my pace, and if all of that goes well, then it will be a good enough time for that.
And Chris Gayle has expressed delight at being recognized by the University of the West Indies for his contribution to cricket. The 38-year-old Gayle and fast bowler Patrick Patterson were honored by the university during the match between a Vice-Chancellor's 11 and Bangladesh. Patterson was unable to attend the presentation ceremony, and his award was collected by former West Indies and Jamaica teammate and now Bangladesh bowling coach Courtney Walsh. And that's for sports. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Time. 44 is me here. I know you love it here. Troops and festivities. We love the Caribbean. The all night, no time to sleep. Emancipate with we. Back food and folklore. Culture on the 44. Back food and folklore. Welcome to our island shore. Back food and folklore. Entertainment to die for. Back food and folklore. Culture on the 44.
Again, the major developments of this day, St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister seeks opposition support to replace the Privy Council with the CCJ as the country's final appeal court. And in sport, Trinidad and Tobago's table tennis players disappointed at missing out on the CAC Games. As Caribbean Newsline for news and sport round the clock, log on or subscribe to CanonNews.com for more of our programming. Log on to CaribVision.tv and subscribe to CaribVision's YouTube channel. We'll be back here again on Monday, but from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching. Have yourselves a good night.